You know, it's amazing what you can find just by browsing YouTube and looking for the right things. For example, I recently became aware that PragerU Kids, the children's spin-off, I guess, of PragerU, has a game show on their YouTube channel. So I decided to watch an episode of their show, Guess or Mess, to see how good it was. Specifically, their edition on John F. Kennedy, because these episodes are themed around one specific person. The kids are even given a digital magazine by PragerU to study off of.
Before coming here, each of you read our PragerU Kids digital magazine about John F. Kennedy from our website. Now we're going to see how much of it you remember.
For those curious, by the way, the PragerU digital magazine includes a random reference to Chappaquiddick. It's in a section about controversies, but I thought this was about JFK specifically, not his family as a whole. It's just a weird choice. And, well, I think it has some problems, to say the least. Well, here's how it works, and I can't just cut to a clip of the show itself explaining it, because they don't, so I'm going to have to explain it for them. So these two kids are the contestants. And they take turns answering questions asked by the show's host, who, by the way, they don't name at any point in the show, at least not in the episodes I watched. And it's kind of weird, honestly. By the way, this host is actually pretty decent, all things considered. Genuinely, he has a very good energy to him that is required for a kid's game show. Now, I want to take a moment to emphasize the turn-taking aspect, because that is one of my biggest issues with this show. I want to be clear, with the exception of the final question, the kids are not asked to buzz in or anything. The host simply asks the kid whose turn it is the question. You see the bowls the kids have? The gimmick of the show is, throughout it, a series of gross things are put into those bowls. The messes of guess or mess, if you will. If one kid answers the question correctly, the mess is dropped in the opposite kid's bowl. And I want to return to the point I mentioned earlier about the kids taking turns regarding the questions. Because what this means is, say, if your opponent is asked a question because it's their turn, and they get it right, then you get the mess. And I'm forced to wonder how exactly that's supposed to be fair. The show paints the messes as what you're supposed to avoid. It's guess or mess, after all. And yet, in order to actually avoid the thing the show wants you to avoid, you have to not only play good, but also hope your opponent plays bad. And again, I know the show can do buzzards. They do so for the final question, where if a kid buzzes in and answers it correctly, the other kid gets pied in the face. But what kills the show, at the very least in my view, is the pacing. This show is an utter drag at points. Let me just take you all through a single round and you'll see what I mean. So it starts with a basic question and answer.
John F. Kennedy served as a Navy patrol boat commander and saved his crew during which war?
World War II.
That is correct, World War II.
Then we get a voiceover of the host going into more detail about the fact we just heard.
During World War II, Kennedy was assigned as commander of a patrol torpedo boat. During the night of August 1st, 1943, a Japanese destroyer collided with his boat and sank it. Kennedy led his crew to swim for hours to the nearest island. He even towed an injured crew member by clenching the man's life jacket straps in his teeth. After he and his crew were rescued, Kennedy was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal and the Purple Heart.
Now, that could have been completely cut out. There was no reason to include it at all. However, at least now we're at the mess part. But even that is dragged out. Just watch.
JFK received a Purple Heart, which is quite the honor. And in his memory, we have Purple Hearts, also known as chicken hearts inside of purple goo.
I'm so sorry.
Do you want them instead?
No!
You sure?
Yes!
Okay, she's not sorry then. Since you're not sorry. Okay, On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I think it's too gooey.
It's never doing gooey.
I'm not even the one getting the.
Woo! That was quite the workout.
Why did it need to be that long? It could have easily just cut to him pouring it into the kid's bowl as opposed to including everything before that point. And you probably noticed the show makes generous use of both cartoon sound effects and stock audience sound effects, even though it's incredibly obvious they're not in front of a live studio audience. The mixing on the audience sound effects, by the way, is not very good. It's oddly quiet a lot of the time, when it should be louder, if anything, so it sounds more energetic. This is a kid's game show, after all. Anyway, final thoughts. Overall, this could actually have been a decent end product with some fine-tuning. However, its bad concept put together with its slow pacing leads it to just be, well, a mess. Good night and good luck.